Now, on WISN 12 News.
Voters in 14 states are deciding a third of the Democratic nomination. How much impact will Wisconsin voters have when their turn comes up next month?
Breaking news, another campaign may be on the brink. The candidate now saying they have a lot to think about tomorrow.
Pandemic preppers.
We're talking about real world stuff.
What some are doing in case the coronavirus explodes into a global pandemic.
The Wisconsin Humane Society's biggest rescue ever in Racine County. The dozens of cats taken from one house.
First at 10, Milwaukee police still have not released a motive for the Miller Brewery rampage that left these 5 employees dead.
Now, nearly a week after the shooting, a Molson Coors official is shedding light on past racial harassment that he says the shooter experienced while working at the brewery.
12 News' Caroline Reinwald is live in Miller Valley tonight. And Caroline, that official cited one incident from 5 years ago.
Yeah, they're now revealing that the shooter was racially harassed here at Molson Coors. They said a noose was placed on his locker 5 years ago, but the person who placed it there was never discovered. Nearly 1 week after the Miller Brewery mass shooting, when Anthony Farrell killed 5 co-workers and then himself, Molson Coors is only shedding some light onto a history of racial discrimination against Farrell.
There was a noose found in an employee's locker 5 years ago, 2015. The employee was actually not at work that day. It was an off day. Our team found it, brought it to his attention.
Molson Coors says an investigation never uncovered who placed the noose on Farrell's locker, but did say that any type of discrimination is unacceptable. But as for how the shooting unfolded last Wednesday, still no details, though, that you can give us.
Still no details. Yeah, the police have asked us not to engage in speculations.
Molson Coors would not answer my questions about alleged continued racial harassment against Farrell, what type of guns he used, how the shooting unfolded, or if any of the victims were targeted.
I'll be honest with you, Adam, there are a lot of unanswered questions that the police department, they're not answering, the city's not answering, that your company isn't answering. And there are a lot of frustrated people because of that.
Our commitment is to working with law enforcement, to working with the detectives, to working with the police department, who have been fantastic partners, to uncover those, to answer those, and get to the bottom of what happened, why it happened, and how it happened. So we can all get the answers that we all want.
Well, Caroline, other than confirming that noose incident, what did they tell you?
Well, they told me that they are working with their employees on this racial discrimination. They did say that they were constantly dedicated to not having that going on at the company, but that they do have more work to do. They also said they're working with employees on getting them the help they need, trauma specialist therapy, so they can all come back to work and be fully operational by the end of the week. And real quick, he did also thank the community for the outpouring of love and support that they've all received.
Caroline Reinwald leading us off live at 10.
We move next to the coronavirus threat. The World Health Organization says the death rate may be close to double what experts originally thought. They put the global death rate at 3.4%. For comparison, the flu kills less than 1% of those infected. 9 deaths in the U.S. are linked to the outbreak. 12 News' Ben Wagner joins us live now in Milwaukee. And Ben, you talked to someone who's prepping for a pandemic.
And Patrick, he says that prepping for a pandemic is really like prepping for anything else. His biggest piece of advice, he says, have things with shelf life, canned goods or pasta, things that you already eat that you know can last in case of a crisis.
I look at it, it's common sense.
For Jim Cobb, survival prepping is an interest that turned to a lifestyle.
If I ended up confined to quarters, my family and I would be fine for quite some time.
Months, years?
Several, decades.
Decades.
He's a disaster prep consultant and the editor-in-chief of Prepper Survival Guide. He's working 18-hour days now, he says, fielding inquiries on the coronavirus and its impact.
What kind of calls are you getting from people who might be worried about all this?
I have people asking me what to do, what should I stock up on, what should I buy at the store. I also have people asking me, how bad do you think it's going to get?
And while preppers may seem extreme, his ideas are much more practical. And it starts, he says, with what's in your cabinet.
Prepping for a pandemic is no different than prepping for anything else. You should have enough food in your home to feed your family for at least a couple of weeks, if not a couple of months. We're not talking about buying a pallet's worth of canned beets, or a ton of rice. Just buy a little bit extra of what you normally eat And the best piece of advice I can give everybody is relax. Just relax. Take a deep breath. It's going to be okay. This is not an end of the world as we know it situation.
Ben, when you talk about food, we've heard about special survival food. Did Cobb mention anything about that?
Yeah, Patrick, he did. I asked him about it. He says, you really don't need it. He said, long term, it is expensive. And Patrick, he says, it's not very healthy for you.
Ben Wagner reporting live in Milwaukee tonight. A Pick and Save and Metro Market have banners on their websites tonight saying they are limiting the number of sanitation, cold, and flu products that customers can order. A spokesperson would not confirm to 12 News whether or not it's due to a supply shortage. Wisconsin Governor Tony Evers, the state's top health officials and lawmakers will meet tomorrow to discuss what the state is doing to deal with the coronavirus. Meanwhile, on Wall Street, the Dow dropped 785 points today, even though the Federal Reserve tried to reassure investors with the biggest interest rate cut in more than a decade. Now, Commitment 2020 coverage at 10.
Polls in all Super Tuesday states are now closed. We've put those 14 states on the map for you. More than 1,300 delegates, or 34%, will be awarded once all of the votes today are counted.
12 News' Matt Smith is here with the results.
And Matt, polls just closed minutes ago in California.
Guys, this is a lot of fun, a lot of news being made tonight. And the big question now is the delegate count. The latest from ABC News right here. Joe Biden, 160. Bernie Sanders, 118. The night is still young as we take a look at the map tonight of the states that they have won. Joe Biden, Virginia, North Carolina, Alabama. The AP calling it from Massachusetts, Oklahoma, Tennessee, Arkansas, Minnesota. He addressed supporters a few minutes ago.
It's looking good. So I'm here to report we are very much alive.
Is in Los Angeles. Let's bring in Joe Zepecki, a Democratic strategist. You've been on numerous presidential campaigns. Joe Biden, a good night talking to supporters. Bernie Sanders, though, the Associated Press calling California to him for the Sanders campaign. The night is young.
A really good night for Joe Biden so far in the undercard. California is the main event. 415 delegates at stake. Right now, according to Politico, Joe Biden is up by about 100 delegates as people go to sleep across the country. By the time all of California is counted, Bernie Sanders could not just catch Biden, but surpass him and be up by 100 delegates. It's going to be a long night that's going to last several days.
All right, let's talk about Michael Bloomberg. He's making some news this evening as well. The Associated Press is reporting he's going to reassess his campaign after what he has seen in Super Tuesday states tonight. That conversation going to happen tomorrow. What does this mean for Michael Bloomberg and all of his money that he's spent?
Well, he's been very clear from day one. He is committed to making sure Donald Trump is a one-term president. It clearly today did not go as intended. Despite all of the financial spending, a lot of states where he wasn't even viable. But I take him at his word. He's going to stay engaged in this process and work to make sure whoever the Democratic nominee is defeats Trump in the fall.
We have new numbers coming in at this hour and also new implications for Wisconsin and what that means not only for our primary in April, but the Democratic National Convention. We're going to break that down, guys, for you coming up in a little bit. A lot to process and a lot to look forward to as we talk about Wisconsin.
Very fluid tonight.
Absolutely.
An exciting night.
Yep.
Thank you, Matt.
Yep.
Well, let's take a live look outside right now in Milwaukee. It's all quiet right now. The snow that we saw this morning didn't last long. Chief Meteorologist Mark Baden is with us tonight. He's in the Weather Center.
Mark, another round of snow could affect part of our area late tonight.
Yeah, just a small portion of our area will be watching for the potential for seeing additional snow. You can see it hanging out right in southwestern Wisconsin. It's rain right here, but likely to turn into a little bit of snow. And so we're really just talking about areas in Walworth County and Kenosha County. In the meantime, quiet out there right now. Temperature still fairly mild, 38 degrees, feels like 31. Heading out for tomorrow, any kind of snow would be very early, and then skies clear out. More sunshine in the forecast, more warm weather, and we're talking 60 in Weather Watch 12.
Workers at the Wisconsin Humane Society are treating dozens of cats taken from a Racine County house last week. Rescuers say they found at least 95 cats in one home. 12 News' Derek Rose is live in the newsroom.
And Derek, staffers say that house was uninhabitable.
Yeah, Joyce, according to the Humane Society, those conditions included feces and urine spread over nearly every surface of the home. The Humane Society initially found 85 cats in that Racine County home. They would not specify exactly where that house is located, but we're told crews even had to set traps for the cats who were still inside. This afternoon, we got an update saying crews found an additional 10 animals, bringing the total to 95. That number, we're told, is the largest recovery in Racine County. Personal surrender, officials tell us these cases are just as much about the owners as they are the animals.
Hoarding animals is a mental illness. And where there is animal suffering, there is human suffering. And so we really work to support the individuals and the families involved in such cases to make sure that they are provided with resources as well.
And Derek, it may not be over yet. We understand there could still be more animals inside that home?
Sadly, that is the case. Those officials believe the conditions are so bad, animals have made their way into the ceiling and are still in the walls as well of that home. And so they have traps set inside that home. Of those 95 already found, sadly, Joyce, many of them were already dead.
Oh, what a story. Derek Rose reporting live in the newsroom.
Prosecutors charged a mother and her boyfriend in the death of a 4-year-old girl. Autumn Horak died in a South Milwaukee home last Friday. Her death is now considered a homicide. A criminal complaint says 22-year-old Jerome Millen, the boyfriend of Autumn's mother, abused the child. She died of suffocation. Prosecutors charged Millen with physical abuse resulting in death.
If these allegations prove to be true, this child was utterly tortured over a period of months before she died at the hands of this defendant.
A criminal complaint says the child's mother, 21-year-old Christina Kahler, admitted to police Millen often struck and even bit Autumn. Kahler is charged with chronic child neglect resulting in death.
Milwaukee police confirm a driver hit a pedestrian at 35th and Center tonight. This is video back from the scene around 7:30 this evening. Officers confirm medics transported one person to Freighter for treatment. There is no word on that person's condition tonight. To reduce reliance on fossil fuels, the city of Milwaukee announced plans for its largest solar energy project. It'll be built on an 8-acre plot of land owned by the city near Mitchell Airport. If all goes as planned, some 7,000 solar panels will rest on top of this landfill cap by the end of this year. It'll create enough electricity to power more than 460 homes. City leaders today applauded how this move helps the environment.
The need for action on climate change is now. This is urgent. This is tangible results in that battle.
We Energies will pay for the project, $90,000 a year. It's part of the city's goal to have at least 25% of power from renewable energy sources by the year 2025. Super Tuesday results continue scrolling at the bottom of your screen.
Matt, you're tracking new results coming in.
All with big implications for Wisconsin. Next at 10, what's left for Wisconsin Democratic voters to decide, and will it lead to a chaotic convention?
Tornado devastation in Tennessee, how the storm affected Super Tuesday voting and how far the destruction extends.
And the state troopers who saved a truck driver after an explosive crash, how they responded so quickly.
Super Tuesday coverage continues at 10 o'clock with the latest results just coming in.
12 News' Matt Smith is back to break down the numbers and what they mean for Wisconsin and energize Joe Biden tonight.
You guys having fun with this? This is really exciting. A lot of folks in the Joe Biden campaign, Bernie Sanders, are watching this. And what they're looking at as we bring in Joseph Beck here, Democratic strategist, is the delegate count. Here it is. Bernie Sanders, 174, Joe Biden, 173. This is the result of California closing at the top of the hour. AP has called it for him. The delegates are going to be what's critical, 48 going to him at this hour. Joe, what does California mean as we look into the overnight for Super Tuesday in general?
It means a lot, and it's a weird quirk of the process that what almost matters more at this point is if one or two candidates other than Sanders get more than 15%. If both Biden and Bloomberg are above 15%, Sanders won't walk away with as many delegates as he would have hoped. What a way to do this.
So let's talk big picture. What does this mean as we look down the road for the state of the race?
Yeah, listen, I think both Mr. Bloomberg and Senator Warren are going to have to take a long look in the mirror tomorrow morning. And if they do not see a path for the nomination, we may see a much narrower field as the April 7th primary here in Wisconsin approaches.
Joe Biden came out really fiery tonight alongside his supporters. Was that premature on his part?
I don't think so. I mean, Joe Biden is like a human tuning fork for emotion and empathy, and I think that's why people like him. He's kind of unleashed, and good for him.
All right, let's look ahead to Wisconsin. We got several factors here, right, that play into our state. First, April 7th. Will Wisconsin's vote among Democratic primary voters matter?
Absolutely. Listen, 4 years ago, Bernie Sanders ran through the entire calendar, even after Hillary Clinton was named the presumptive nominee. No reason to think he won't do the same thing. Liz Warren this week described Wisconsin as halftime and the convention this summer as sort of the final bell. So we're going to matter.
You segue well. Let's talk about that final bell. There's been all this talk about a contested convention in Milwaukee. After what we're seeing so far tonight, what do the chances of that look like?
I think we're seeing the end of the Aaron Sorkin-esque fever dream. The more
West Wing for those, right? Yeah.
The more the race narrows and the fewer candidates there are, the more likely it is that one of them, whoever it is, gets to the magic number of 1,991 delegates, which is what it takes to win on the first ballot.
And I'm assuming that's what the party wants.
I think we could go another 4 years before we had a contested convention. There's an awful lot at stake this November. Let's get a nominee and let's turn our focus to President Trump.
Joe, thank you. Lots of new numbers coming in, guys. We will track them all as we come on back over, but what a night, right? As we look at Super Tuesday and look ahead to Wisconsin with all the implications.
It's going to be a long night.
Absolutely.
All right, Matt, thank you.
Yep.
And we should note that some polling places in Tennessee delayed voting today after a tornado ripped through the Nashville area in the middle of the night. The death toll climbed to at least 25. The downtown area has some of the worst damage. At least 48 buildings collapsed in the city. Doorbell cameras even caught the tornado tear through neighborhoods.
We woke up and we heard it going and it was right by our window. We just went to the bathtub. That's pretty much it. But I would be evacuated for a gas leak. It's surreal. I feel like I'm in a movie. It's just so sad.
And that path of storm damage stretches 145 miles across Tennessee. And that storm serves as a reminder about the need to be prepared.
And Mark, this storm hit a major city in the middle of the night.
That's one of those myths that's still out there. A lot of people think, well, these big cities, they're protected. They can't get hit by tornadoes. Well, they can. Nashville, another example. It's been hit twice before as well. And this one really nailed Nashville in a terrible time because it's the middle of the night. This is when a lot of people are sleeping. A lot of people don't take warnings seriously, and that was deadly. 25 people losing their lives. It's just terrible. That we'd love to find a way to make this not happen. So this is my job. I need to fight the apathy. I need you to know that tornadoes happen in cities. Tornadoes can happen in Milwaukee. They can happen in Waukesha. They can happen anywhere in southeastern Wisconsin, including right along Lake Michigan. They're deadliest at night, as we noticed, of course, last night. Have a weather radio in your house. Make sure that you have that turned on at night because that will wake you up. It makes a really piercing sound. And here's the thing. We will have severe weather here. We will have tornadoes here. Again, it's been fairly quiet around here for about 5 years. So just be ready because, again, it will happen in the future. Heartland, let's change it up to make it a more serene scene. Appreciate Marianne sending in this picture. Beautiful sunset. Now the focus goes in on that snow that's right on the border. Look at where this is. It's hugging right along the Walworth County and Kenosha County line with Illinois. So not a great chance we see any snow in Milwaukee, Waukesha northward. But be ready if you're heading to the south. We're talking about maybe an inch, possibly 2 inches of snow, especially when you get into northern Illinois. Most areas will stay dry, and you can see it clearing out nicely. Lots of sun in the forecast for tomorrow. After we get through that early morning bout of snow along the border, we'll see a little bit of clouds elsewhere. Next round, this is Thursday morning. Another system comes flying in. With that, a little snow possible in the morning. Better chances would be our northern counties, and then a little more rain or snow showers later on in the day. Late tonight, between 3 and 7, a quick hit of snow to the south. A very close call on if we get anything at all or if it stays in northern Illinois. Rest of the day, dry and sunny, breezy. Thursday, we'll watch those rain and snow showers moving in. Temperature-wise, hang out in the 30s. It was a warm day to our south, and we're looking forward to that. 40, 50, and 60 as we head into Friday, Saturday, and Sunday. Daylight saving time is this weekend. Turn your clocks forward 1 hour ahead on Saturday night. And don't make sure you're changing the smoke detector batteries. And this is what we can enjoy with a day of hitting 60 degrees. The daylight hours are feeling longer as we push that back to a 6:50 sunset. Yes, you lose an hour of sleep. 44 and 47, that light mix on Thursday. Again, a fair amount of sunshine throughout the day tomorrow after we get rid of the clouds early on. Cooler on Friday, and then a beautiful weekend ahead. 50 on Saturday, 60 on Sunday. A chance for maybe some thunderstorms around here, the first ones of 2020, and then partly sunny skies on Tuesday, high temperatures of 47 degrees. So after we get by tomorrow, let's just start focusing in those bigger numbers for the weekend.
A mild start to March. Thank you, Mark.
Next at 10, the semi-driver saved by a state trooper. What happened just as they pulled the man out of the truck?
Commitment 2020 coverage continues tonight. New numbers coming in from the state of California. The latest delegate count this Super Tuesday: Bernie Sanders 192, Joe Biden 187. These numbers are going to develop and transition overnight, especially as we see what happens in California. Patrick and Joyce.
Thank you, Matt. From New Jersey, a semi driver is alive because 2 state troopers were in the right place at the right time. Body camera video from one of the troopers shows him responding to a semi crash yesterday.
That trooper had been yards away at a traffic stop when the wreck happened. Another trooper happened to be driving by the crash. The 2 men pulled the semi-driver out just as the truck's cab exploded.
Go, go, go! You all right? All right.
Close call. The truck driver has minor injuries. Medics took him to a hospital to be evaluated. The cause of the crash is under investigation.
Steph joins us now. A big payday for a fan favorite.
Yes, indeed, Joyce. How much the Brewers' Christian Yelich will reportedly earn over the next 9 years. Plus, all Marcus Howard wanted on his birthday was a win. How Marquette did on the road tonight, up next to Big 12 Sports.